Good evening, all, and welcome to the City of Norwich City Council meeting for February 21st, 2017. If we could all, whoever is able, to stand, and Alderman Martin will lead us in prayer.
Almighty God, we ask for your blessing upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, thoughtfulness in all our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings, and keep us faithful to the trust placed to us by the citizens of our community. Amen.
Amen.
Tucker Braddock, would you please lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizen comment general.
This is a time when people can speak about anything that is of importance to the city that is not on the agenda. I will ask you to please come up, state your name and address, speak clearly into the microphone, and your comments must be limited to 3 minutes. This is a 30-minute period, so I have quite a list. We'll try to get through it, but if we're not able, we'll have to stop after 30 minutes. Susan Massey.
Mayor Hinchey, City Manager Salamone, and council members. Many of you on the stage, hopefully all of you, feel strongly about lowering Norwich's taxes. Most of you ran for office on a platform to do just that. I wish that the council had more than 2 years to produce what you've promised, but you don't, so November will be here before you know it. So I have to ask, and your constituents want to know, how does your decision to add a debt service for $800,000 bond to demolish the Reed and Hughes translate to an effort to lower taxes, especially when a feasible alternative exists to rehab the building? Rehabbing the building will bring money to the city in the form of taxes. It will also bring revenue for utilities, all of which will, not in a huge amount, but it will lower taxes. And that is just the financial side of the argument. Psychologically, tearing down the building is giving up on our downtown. Rehabbing the building is part of a positive solution to bring our downtown back to life. There are a lot of individuals and groups, many of them are here, who have worked hard and are currently working hard to make the downtown a lively place. Your vote to demolish the Reed and Hughes is a slap in their faces. We are asking you to change your mind about the demolition. Leadership has many forms, but one truly admirable trait is flexibility, the ability to consider and reconsider a challenge, leading to a different, better path. So, what am I missing? I'm not a wild-eyed preservationist. This simply makes economic sense for a city that needs money. And for a council that said it was given a mandate to lower taxes, well, again, what am I missing? The Women's Institute's proposal is a win-win for the city. Please stop the demolition. Thank you.
Thank you. James Cordo, and while Mr. Cordo is coming up, Mr. Nash texted me that he will be unable to attend tonight due to work commitment.
Good evening. James Cordo, 25 Elmwood Avenue, Norwich. I've been up here several times in the past couple of years to speak in favor of saving the Reed and Hughes. And so I won't go over all the details on all my reasons, but Sue Massey certainly hit on a lot of them. But the biggest reason, I think, is you have a wonderful group in the Women's Institute that's here to save us money. Instead of spending $800,000 to tear down a building, they're going to put, they have a plan to spend some money on it try to save it. Nothing's written in stone, but it certainly sounds like a better way to go than spending that much money to tear it down. And so please, change your minds and vote for saving the Reed and Hughes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Virginia Vallis?
Hi, I'm Virginia Vallis, 15 Taylor Drive, Norwich. I've come here with more of an emotional plea to you. I'm a school educator. I've worked as a school psychologist and worked with children all my life, and now as a retiree, I'm working with the historical societies as well as the museums here. We're trying to connect our history understanding with the children in the schools of Norwich as well as children throughout the state of Connecticut. Some of the things that we do are bringing children in to understand the relics of our past. It is much more important for children to see not just a picture, but actually to touch a cannon from downtown Norwich. It's also important to be able to look at pictures and know that these are real pictures. We can look at Bill Stanley's book and see that there are beautiful photographs of what our city once represented through different eras. I'm very, very concerned that the children need to be able to look at that book and know it wasn't photoshopped. It really was a place. I'm going to share a very quick personal experience that it may seem unrelated, but it's not. In the fall, I had the opportunity to study a little bit more about the history that relates to Slater Museum, going to Greece and looking at architectural sites, then going on to Italy beyond that on my own expense, of course, and learning a little bit more about the Renaissance. We went into the city of Siena, walked up to the top of the hill, went into the center of the city, looked at beautiful, absolutely gorgeous architectural buildings with arched windows like this and carved doors to the front, to the side, to the back of us, and then we looked to the left. There was a building that looked like the Downtown Transportation Center from Norwich, Connecticut, a big brick building that had windows that were from the 1950s type of style, and the person who was our guide said, "I am so sorry," she said, "I apologize to all of you. We're so embarrassed that we tore down this to leave this for you, and it was our generation that did it." When I stood there, my heart sunk, and I thought, this is Norwich. This is how I feel about losing more of our city because we've lost enough already. I want the children to come down and see real buildings and see a real past that was there. I want them to be part of it. I want the city to grow, and I want the city to be some way beautiful. It doesn't have to be the same. It needs to be inspiring, though. It needs to be somehow useful for people's lives, for their cultures, for their spirits, and the growth of our city. That's my message. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. Nina Barclay?
Good evening. I'm Nina Barclay. I live at 3 Lathrop Lane in Norwich. I also work at Slater Museum, but Virginia and I did not plan this. Many years ago, I worked and advocated hard to save the War Egan. I remember speaking to the city council then. It was the only other time I've ever done this. And I compared the War Egan to the keystone of an arch that extended from City Hall down through downtown, and talked about what good an arch would do if you removed the keystone. And I'm very proud that we saved the War Egan Hotel. We have the ballroom at the War Egan is in use for receptions, for parties, for quinceaneras. The War Egan has residents. I remember the early 90s. I hope you do too. The War Egan has residents, has foot traffic. Foot traffic is what makes our cities safe. Foot traffic beckons everyone to feel comfortable. Residents make cities fun, interesting, thriving. Residents give local businesses the little bit of money they can. All those things make a city work. Our city has made progress in the last 10 years. A hole in the ground does not work. We have plenty of empty holes in the ground that we cannot find a developer to come in to. The Women's Institute has a valid, good project plan. And the last thing I'd like to say is that veterans are a community that we do not do our rights by in Norwich. This is a population that we owe. We owe these people. We owe our veterans. This is a good plan, and I hope you will back it, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Irene Scheinberg?
Irene Scheinberg, 12 Jones Court in Norwich. And, you know, when you come in later, people kind of make the points that you also want to reinforce. And, you know, to me, as a senior citizen, you know, I think it's like I really don't come into downtown Norwich, but when I go to New York, and even though it's not the safest areas, you know, there's people around. I feel safe in those places. And it's the foot traffic that brings people into the city. You know, with another restaurant, and with the business plan, you have to look at market share. What is the market share in Norwich with people moving away? And with market share, that reinforces business. Another restaurant just takes business away from an existing restaurant. So I am in favor of maintaining the Read and Use building. I think we have a great local offer instead of a fly-by-night developer, and it makes sense not to have a hole in Norwich. Thank you.
Thank you. Brian Kobolars?
Thank you, Mayor and members of the City Council. I'm Brian Kobolars, residing at 16 Hobart Avenue. Something I've noted in the papers that I felt needed to be addressed. It has now been a little bit over 6 years since the voters of Norwich approved the downtown revitalization bond. The work on developing that package actually started about 7 years ago. As just one member of what was then called Team Norwich, working with then Mayor Peter Nystrom and a number of other community leaders, we looked at where investments would make the most sense within the downtown, and that would be if a bond were going to be presented to the voters for approval. The results of those meetings ended up developing much of the language and intent of what was going to happen with presenting a bond. As it was approved, the $3.3 million, one portion of it called for $1.84 million in matching grants to businesses to upgrade their buildings to address the 250,000 square feet of vacant dark space, much of it in inaccessible upper floors. Another $1 million would be placed in a revolving loan program for businesses interested in locating downtown, and another $500,000 would provide rent subsidies to businesses that commit to long-term leases of at least 3 years. It was said by Bob Mills, quoted in numerous meetings as this was being developed, that it would be aimed at targeted businesses rather than government entities. As it was finally approved, if you go to the application criteria that is part of the package to this date, each application needs to be submitted by a lead applicant, which is in most cases is the owner of the property, in this case the City of Norwich. The tenant could also be the lead applicant, but we have no tenants there now. Remember, grant funds are for code improvements, this is quoting from the application, related to accessibility and life safety code requirements. Use of a bond money is legally tied to the language, so we need to tread carefully. When you look at where the money would be pulled, if we put $100K into stabilization, it just needs to come from somewhere else because it does not fit within the downtown revitalization bond legal language. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Marvin Ceruto?
Marvin Ceruto, 100 Star Street, Norwich, Connecticut, United States of America. As I promised, here's a donation for our fireworks fund. I'm encouraging everybody to join me. I want to see some fireworks this year. Also, for the Good Things Jar, Converse Art Gallery, one of our gems. Also, the Uncas Leap Heritage Area. I hope you all
Mr.
join me.
Ceruto, would you please address the, do you have something?
It says, there any issue.
Okay, keep going.
At the Norwich Free Academy at 7 o'clock on the 1st of March. Please join me. The Uncas Leap Heritage Area is going to have a meeting. It's an early start. Bring some opinions. And I encourage the council to listen to all of the citizens who are in favor of saving the Reed and Hughes. The more I think about it, and this is coming from me and my heart, as I see more and more of our heritage and our culture disappear, I'm growing stronger and stronger to preserve it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Dale Plummer?
Dale Plummer, 25 Broadway, Mayor and council members. I'm going to be very brief. I urge you to take back your plan to demolish the Reed and Hughes building, to rescind the $800,000 bond appropriation to demolish the building, and to go with a positive plan to develop Reed and Hughes for tax-paying property that will provide housing to our veterans and retail space as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Bill Block?
Good evening. Bill Block, 1 Sachem Terrace. I'm puzzled why members of the council would prevent an investor from sinking $200,000 of his personal funds into a project that would return a building to the tax rolls just so they could spend $800,000 of our money to create a vacant lot. As most recent development RFPs for vacant city lots, considering 325 Main Street or Lower Washington Street, have yielded no responses, it seems doubtful there would be any for 199 Main Street. I'm not sure that a private concern has erected a new building downtown since 161 Water Street was built in the early 60s. I'll close with saying that there is a precedent for entering into an agreement with this particular development with a developer without an RFP. In the mid-'80s, the City Council authorized the city manager to negotiate the development agreement for the marina with American Ambulance without an RFP. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, sir. Sandy Quarto?
Good evening. Sandy Quarto, 25 Elmwood Avenue, Norwich. I understand the Waregan was in worse shape than the Reed and Hughes, and look at it now. This is doable. I urge you to do the right thing for Norwich and vote for the redevelopment of the Reed and Hughes building. You have an opportunity to make a difference. Please show your support. If you do not, you will be doing Norwich residents a great disservice. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Ethier?
Hello, my name is Paul Ethier, and I reside at 5 Sachem Terrace in Norwich. I'm here tonight to show my full support for the preservation of the Reed and Hughes building and allowing for its renovation. The downtown area of Norwich needs this building as just one more example of the city's desire and ability to preserve and repurpose an important piece of architecture. So with that, I am asking that the council reverse its decision to spend upwards of $800,000 to tear down the Reed and Hughes building. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Rodney Bowie?
Good evening. Rodney Bowie, 62 Roosevelt Avenue. I echo the comments of the previous speakers. You only have to look at what happened in Greenville to see what possibly could be replaced with downtown. We had a building burned down in the center of Greenville, and there's the ugliest thing sitting there now. And that's what we could get if we're going to get anything come downtown. We're not going to get a decent-looking building. Nobody is going to put millions of dollars into something that they get income from realty on like shops and things like that. It's just not it's not that kind of income from most places. Now, the other thing, so I'm getting a rumbling about spending $4.5 million to do a school project. Wow. The state doesn't have any money. We don't have any money, and we're talking about doing some kind of a consolidation of school. I just don't see it. Now, in the past sessions, you folks had a chance to show your medal on the 2% raises for city employees. Now, at that particular time, I said, if you want to save money, you've got to start making baby steps. Don't expect to save money by doing something grandiose. It isn't going to happen. It is not going to happen. Our structure is not set up for us to do a huge, huge cut and save us $10 million in one particular year. But at the same time, you cannot keep on adding to our basis of what it costs us to have city employees out here. Because one group of city employees leverages against the other city employees. If you give 2% to your supervisors, guaranteed the rank and file is going to say 2%. I know. I told you before. I've negotiated these things here. It just doesn't work. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. David Bishop?
Good evening. David Bishop, 28 Cherry Hill Road, Norwich. This is regarding Reed and Hughes also. I was born and raised in Norwich and moved in 1979 to be closer to work. My first house was Victorian, overlooking the harbor on Laurel Hill Road. I moved back to Norwich a year ago last December because of its history and architecture. I'm sure you all read the February issue of Norwich Magazine. One story got my interest, and I would like to read a part of it regarding a person I do not know, attorney Kevin Wickless. Lawyer Kevin Wickless moved his practice to Norwich after moving from Michigan and attending college in Hamden. The article in the latest issue of Norwich Magazine states, in quotation, Wickless is very interested in seeing downtown Norwich thrive. There is a large population of people in Norwich that want to see it succeed, parentheses, downtown. You hear a lot of negativity, but in reality, there are so many positive things. There are a lot of people trying to make positive changes and investing a lot of their time and effort. My words, there are a lot of people who want to live and work in Norwich. If you tear it all down, you will lose these people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Dee Keeney?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Dee Keeney, 12 Ledgewood Court, Norwich. I'm here just to ask you tonight to please reconsider and to save the Reed and Hughes building. It seems like a pretty clear choice, an easy choice to me, particularly now when there are viable options for repurposing it. That sounds like it would save money and not cost the taxpayers $800,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Tom Keeney?
Good evening. Tom Keeney, 12 Ledgewood Court, Norwich, Connecticut. I'm here also to support the redevelopment of the Reed and Hughes building. I think the last thing that the city of Norwich needs is another empty cavity in downtown Norwich, which will be strewn very shortly with trash. We have enough of those places already. Thank you very much.
Thank you. James Clark?
James Clark, 4 Taylor Drive. I'm here to speak, well, at least just to vote in favor of the preservation of the Reed and Hughes building. I think all of us don't want to see another hole in Norwich's downtown that already exists. And there's already been so much said, far better than I could say it. I just wanted to present my point of view. Thank you.
Thank you. Carleen Fry?
Caroline Fry, 9 Indian Hill Road,
Sorry.
Norwich. I've spoken in support of the renovation of the Read and Use building before, so I just wanted to reiterate that I do support the renovation. I really think another vacant lot is just another nail in the coffin of downtown, and Norwich can't succeed if downtown doesn't succeed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Gary Young, 88 Palmer Street in Norwich. Sorry I got here too late to officially sign up. I was actually in favor of tearing down the Read and Use until a couple weeks ago when I went to a meeting and heard the other side of the story. I'm a veteran, I'm a property owner. I've lived in Norwich since 1954. I can remember when there was 380 shops downtown, the place was thriving. And I'm in agreement with almost everybody here that if you put a hole in the landscape, you'll never replace it with anything any good. So I'm in favor of keeping the Read and Use.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
William Allen, 25 Broadway. I'm here to speak in favor of saving the Read Hughes. As the son of a single parent, I cannot help but think that the Women's Institute would be a great and vital purpose for downtown Norwich. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That concludes our time, and I must apologize to Mr. Cerruto for cutting him off. You all were so compelling in your consistent arguments about the Read and Use. I thought we had a resolution, and sorry, Mr. Cerruto. I lost myself in the conversations. I want to thank you all for your time and efforts, and we'll move on.
Report from the Greenville Neighborhood Revitalization Committee.
A motion and a second to accept this. Alderman Martin, Alderman Braddock. Did we post this out on the bulletin board?
I'm not sure if it's posted or not.
I'm not sure whether this got posted or not on the bulletin board, but not usually. One of the it's online though.
It will be.
It will be. One of the things I would suggest, because they have given a 2-page report, and I don't want to read the whole thing, but I would suggest you go online and look. This is a neighborhood group who has really worked hard for the village of Greenville, and they have done some pretty remarkable things, and they've outlined it. So if you all get a chance, and those of you at home, go online on the website, and it will be there. Those in favor?
Aye.
That's unanimous.
City Manager's report.
Thank you. This is my report for February 2021, 2017. Firstly, I would like to acknowledge the Public Works Department for their hard work removing the snow over the past 2 weeks. I realize how hard it is to get ahead of this due to the continuous cold and snowfall. As many of you know, City Hall remained open, but non-essential employees were given the opportunity to use vacation or personal time if they choose to remain safe at home. The mayor and I continue our weekly meetings. I attended the Labor and Public Employee Committee meeting in Hartford with her on February 14th. The CCOG and SEAT meeting on the 15th. Actually, I did not go to that. so that's an error. And the Norwich Board of Education legislative breakfast on the 16th. We also met with Senator Kathy Olston immediately after the breakfast regarding school construction grants. I met with Jeff Blinderman and Julie Cagle from the Recreation Advisory Board. The monthly Chiefs meeting was held on February 8th to discuss GIS response, mutual aid, and equipment reduction and replacement. It was agreed that the chiefs would review vehicle replacement and potential new vehicles need together. As a side note, they had a meeting yesterday. The mayor and I met with staff regarding downtown traffic problems. Greg Schlau, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right.
Close.
Close enough? Schlau?
It's pretty close.
Okay. I apologize to Greg, who was hoping to coordinate the Firemen's Convention and Parade that would be held in September in Tairfield, stopped by my office to give me an update. I met with J.P. Marine and representatives from the Norwich Golf Course Authority regarding the next step for the process of approval for an irrigation pond at the site. City staff and I, Todd Levine from SHPO, and representatives from the Women Institute met on February 15th for an additional update on the Read and Use. The meeting was rescheduled from February 10th. On February 17th, Josh Pothier and I participated in a due diligence conference call with the underwriter, Piper Jaffrey, the Underwriters Council, Shipman and Goodwin, and our financial advisors, William Blair, and our bond counsel, Pullman and Connolly. This is for a bond issue. The city will be issuing $8.45 million of bonds in March, including $3 million for a partial refunding of the 2009 Series A bond. This refunding should yield approximately $50,000 in net present value savings, depending on how interest rates change between now and March 10th. The city sought an update on its bond ratings from Standard & Poor's for this bond issue on February 7th with a conference call including myself, Bob Mills, John Bilder, Steve Cinco, and Josh Peltier. The S&P, which is Standard & Poor's, affirmed Norwich's AA rating with a stable outlook on February 13th. That's good news. In summary, it will be difficult for Norwich to increase its rate above AA until the local economy improves. The following measures will help the city maintain its AA rating and position itself for a ratings increase when the economy does improve. And these items are things that we already are doing. Continue to build the general fund unrestricted fund balance to the 12 to 17% range. Continue to fund the OPEB and pension plans responsively. Negotiate lower OPEB and pension benefits prospectively. Formalize and monitor more financial policies, and keep bonded debt at a manageable level. Staff and I met with Bonnie Hung from Norwich, Rotary, and Carnival representatives regarding their upcoming event. Ethics training has been continued to boards and commissions. My assistant, Jackie Barbarossa, has emailed the chair, board member, or recording secretary for more than 30 boards, commissions, or committees to register for the online training course through KERMA. She will be tracking the progress online. I would like to thank Norwich Public School art teacher Gabe Littman and the students for displays of artwork throughout the City Hall. Jackie will be working with Gabe throughout the year for new displays. Please take a look at the work. It's very impressive. As a side note, we have some in my outer office. That completes my report for February 21.
Does anyone have questions of the city manager? Yes, ma'am.
My first question, Mr. Salamone, a lot of these things you talk about, you meet with staff, and I'll refer to the one regarding downtown traffic patterns. How do the council members find out what you talk about?
Well, you can find out at this, usually when I report on it. Normally, it's some of these things are very early stages, so we're looking at research and whether we're going to make a proposal or a recommendation to the city council. So a lot of these are early on type of situations.
All right, and then my second question is, can you please advise the council and also the public when we will receive the documentation from the Ethics Commission regarding their opinions so that we can act accordingly.
I will notify the council when I receive it. I don't know the specific date when we will receive it. We have not received it as of today.
Could you inquire of the chairperson when?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anyone else have questions of the city manager? Yes, Mr. Martin.
Mr. Salamone, as a chair of a commission, I received an email saying that the people in my commission and my board have to take their ethics training. Now, now besides me, did they reach out to the board members individually or just the chairs?
The way we did it was go through the chair to discuss it with his or her members.
Okay, so when I convene with my board or commission, I can let them know to reach out to your office
Yes.
to get that training?
Mhm,
Thank
yes.
you.
Anyone else? The artwork, some of the artwork is right out here in the hallway, so I encourage you to take a look at it. At this time, I'd like to withdraw the resolution number 1 relative to disbanding the School Facilities Review Committee, and I would like to bring it back at a later date.
May I ask why?
Yes, because the chairman of the School Facilities Committee and the Board of Education are still debating what they want to do. And I was advised by bond counsel that we should keep the Facilities Review Committee open until the Board of Education determines what they're going to do.
Thank you.
I understand there are some other resolutions that need to be put on the agenda. Before you give those, whoever's going to do that, would you please explain, Corporation Counsel, what is important with these?
Well, these would be submitted under suspension of the rules, and under the rules of the City Council, in order to suspend the rules requires a 2/3 vote of the members present and voting. So it would require 4 votes to suspend.
What is the pleasure? Yes?
Yeah, I'd like to move for suspension of our rules, please.
Is there a second? Alderwoman Philbrick? Those in favor? Alderwoman Philbrick?
Yes, I have my hand up.
No, I counted, that's unanimous. Is there something else? Is that on a single?
I mean, it's, no, you say what you're suspending the rules for.
Okay, so do you have something that you are suspending the rules for?
Yes, if I may, please.
Please proceed.
The first item is a letter of resignation that was received from a member of the Board of Education who has resigned. It would be to receive her letter and have it accepted by the City Council.
Is there a second? Alderwoman Gould, is there discussion?
Would you like the letter read? For the
I'll
record?
read it.
You, please.
This is to, regarding the Board of Education. It came to Linda Becker, the chairwoman of the Norwich Republican Town Committee. It is with deep regret that I am resigning from the Board of Education. I have been struggling the past few months with personal issues. I am unable to fulfill the responsibilities of the position. My apologies to all. This notice is effective immediately, and it was received by the city clerk on February 15th. Sincerely, Susan M. Thomas. All those in favor of accepting? And that is unanimous. Is there another?
Yes, there is, please.
Do we need another motion to suspend? Another motion to suspend, please? Mr. Nystrom, is there a second? Alderwoman Philbrick? Those in favor of suspension? That's unanimous.
This is a resolution to be placed on the new business calendar. Resolution number 3, I guess it would be number 2 now, with the withdrawal of the first one, but the reads, or do you want to?
I'll read it.
Please.
Is there a second? Did we have a second?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so Mrs. Filbert. Be it resolved that Rashid Haynes be and hereby is appointed to the Norwich Board of Education effective February 22nd, 2017, to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education created by the resignation of Susan Thomas to serve as a member of the Board of Education for the remainder of her term, and this is sponsored by President Pro Tem Peter Nystrom. Those in favor? We'll put that on the agenda. You have another one? Is this a motion to suspend?
suspend.
Is there a second? Alderman Martin, so eager down there. All those in favor? Is there a motion to bring this forward? President Pro Tem Nystrom, second. Alderwoman Gould. I'll read the resolution. Whereas the Norwich Noontime Rotary has held a carnival in Norwich for the past several years to raise funds for its projects, and whereas the 2017 carnival hosted by the Norwich Noontime Rotary will be held from Thursday, May 25th, 2017 at 5 p.m. to Monday, May 29th, 2017 at 5 p.m. at Chelsea Parade. Setup of the carnival will be Wednesday, May 24th. And whereas the Rotary Carnival is a popular event enjoyed by residents and visitors to Norwich, taking the opportunity to enjoy rides, entertainments, and refreshments available at the carnival, now therefore be it resolved by the Council of the City of Norwich that it invites and welcomes these patronizing the Norwich Noontime Rotary Carnival, and that it offers its thanks to the Norwich Noontime Rotary for its efforts. And this is sponsored by President Pro Tem Peter Nystrom and Alderwoman Stacy Gould. All those in favor? And that's unanimous. So that is number 3. So.
Citizen comment on resolutions.
Now I'm going to keep you to the resolutions. Anyone wishing to speak on the resolutions at hand? And I promise I'll pay attention to what is going on. Anyone wishing to speak to the resolutions at hand? Anyone wishing to speak to the resolutions at hand? No? Hearing none. Citizen comment is closed.
Relative to City Manager John Solomon being empowered to amend contracts for the Neighborhood Facilities Program with the State of Connecticut Department of Social Services.
A motion and a second, please. Alderman Braddock, Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor? Those opposed? No? I guess it's unanimous.
Relative to an appointment to the Board of Education.
A motion and a second, please. President Pro Tem Nystrom, Alderman Braddock. Is there discussion? Yes, ma'am.
I would just like to thank Rashid. I actually met him through another member of the community, Immaculate Perkins. We anticipated a vacancy, and we were charged with the duty to find someone. And I contacted Immaculate. She, in turn, introduced me to Rashid, and I am so pleased that he has stepped forward to become, hopefully, with the vote of the council this evening, a member of the Board of Education, albeit for a short term, but hopefully he'll be so enamored with the position that he will run for election in the fall and become a permanent addition to the board. So thank you for stepping up.
Thanks. Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. I too would like to add my thanks for Rashid stepping forward. It's so important that the business of the school board move forward, and your presence there will help that take place. There's a lot on the table, a lot of important issues, all dealing with the future of our children. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous? Welcome. They must have some kind of notebook or something for you.
Relative to holding the Norwich Noontime Rotary Carnival.
Motion, Alderman Martin. Second, please, Alderman Braddock. Is there discussion? Yes, sir.
I have a concern, and my concern is that we have done this in the past, and we have left gaping holes in the Chelsea Parade, and I don't think that it should be the burden of our Public Works to fill it all in and redress it. I think there should be some kind of sum of money set aside from this from this activity to ensure that we're not going to rob the Public Works budget to fill in all the divots. It's a beautiful grounds, and it should be kept that way. And I know there's a great lot of enthusiasm about putting this back in someone else's neighborhood, but I think that we have to protect the grounds, and I'd like to just make sure that we're going to have some reimbursement of the damage that may occur. Not necessarily will it, but I would just like it. I would like the city protected in that event.
Anyone else? Yes.
I will not be supporting this resolution. I do not believe that the carnival belongs on Chelsea Parade, just as I do not think that the carnival belongs on Little Plain or the Norwich Town Green. I would further state that I don't think it belongs in Howard T. Brown Park either. I believe last year it was held at the Viaduct. Seemed to work. That would be, so I will not be supporting this for that reason. And in addition to, in coordination with Mr. Braddock's comments, that if it were to be held on the Chelsea Parade, expenses would be incurred by the city once again, and we do not have the money anymore, ladies and gentlemen, for this. So an asphalt parking lot, centrally located, I think is the perfect location for a carnival. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to speak in favor of this resolution. Having been born and raised and grown up here in this city, I remember a time when Chelsea Parade was looked to as a place of community activity. And while it is certainly appropriate to look to preserve the grounds, and I don't think anyone in Rotary would not support that concern that has been mentioned tonight, I travel in my work among many communities across the state, and these greens are used as a central meeting place for lots of community activities. And those communities are alive with activity, with people from the town supporting these events, people coming from out of town supporting these events. I will tell you that the Viaduct does not work for the Rotary Carnival at all. It is very hard to get there. People are confused about where to park. I will tell you, I think it's a dangerous site. You have an active rail line. Yes, there are fences, but there are also open gates that are never closed. God forbid a child walked away from a parent who got lost and was on those tracks, or simply just fell into the river because they walked across the trestle, or walked out onto the highway for that matter, because that's Route 2, right on the border of it. It does not work well. I'm glad to support the Rotarians and their efforts in this city, whether it's noontime or morning. They do so much for this community that really goes unnoticed, but it shouldn't be. I know for a fact, as winter approached, they did their regular coat drive, and they were able to donate over 1,000 jackets to people in need across this city. They're asking for an opportunity to show that it can be done there and done well. And I would point out to this council that you're going to be asked to approve another opportunity of use of that Chelsea Parade very soon. I've seen plans for a 50th anniversary of the Rose Arts Festival, and it's in the works, and there's a committee of people working to make that happen, and they're hoping to have some events on Chelsea Parade too. That parade belongs to the people. The parade grounds is in fact protected. There are deed covenances, but those deed covenances restrict a permanent structure being placed there. It does not restrict use of that green. So I'll be supporting this resolution. Thank you.
Yes.
I will also be supporting this resolution. I think it's a wonderful idea to bring back Carnival there. As a 53-year resident of Norwich, I always enjoyed going to the Rose Arts Festival, which was on the Chelsea Parade grounds. We have it there. It's there for a reason, and I think we should be availing ourselves to using Chelsea Parade. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I am going to be speaking in favor of this resolution. Before I moved to Norwich, I came to attend concerts at the Rose Arts Festival, and it was a very nice experience. I think it would bode well for our city to bring people from out of town to enjoy some activities here, and to maybe have them enjoy some other activities while they're here as well. So I'm going to be speaking in favor of this.
I'll be speaking against this resolution on a couple of fronts. Number one, something this important should have been brought so that the neighbors and the people who live around that parade could have come and spoke about their wishes of what happens there. This resolution came to the city manager's office on Friday afternoon, and it was not posted. And this is a very critical piece of activity for that neighborhood. And so I will vote against this because I believe that people have not had the opportunity to be able to discuss it. I think we saw here tonight how people rally around an issue and bring forth speakers to inform this council, and the people around Chelsea Parade were not given that opportunity. Secondly, I think that this is going to be there from set up on Wednesday till Monday. I believe NFA is in session during that time, and I don't know if anybody has discussed where people are going to park, and many, many other aspects. This should not have been brought as quickly and without the opportunity for the public or the police to weigh in on traffic issues, Public Works to weigh in on what this will do to the green at this time of the year. So I will be voting against this. Yes.
Ask a question of the city manager, please.
Yes.
Last week, you met with a group of representatives from Rotary. Can you tell me who was with you at that meeting besides yourself from the city?
The Public Works Director, the Chief of Police, the Fire Chief, a representative from the Building Inspection Office. Anybody else that I leave out? Yeah, okay. And then Bonnie Hung from Rotary.
Mrs. Hong. Thank you. The mayor's correct. This was not placed through the normal process as far as agenda setting. Those of us who work, as I do, can't make agenda setting. It was my hope that the resolution would have been introduced at that time. It was not, and I discovered that when I received the email telling us what was on the agenda. I believe it was Tuesday evening. And while I share anyone's concern about notification, I'm not sure that it rises to the level that has been lifted at this point. Rotary has had a carnival active in the city for a number of years, all to put the funds that they raise back into this community. They're simply asking for a safer, better location. This applies only to 1 year. It doesn't give permission in years out. But I think it's important that we stand by some of these civic organizations who stand by us and the people of Norwich. I'm more than happy to go and visit any homeowner who wants to discuss this if this resolution were to pass. And I'll listen to any concerns they have. I'll also see that any of their concerns are addressed during and after, as well as the city's and the public works concerns. I actually called our public works director about this subject matter about a month ago because I was aware of the policy that you want to use a green and so forth. There's an application you fill out at their office, and they either approve or they disapprove. In this case, he asked that we not go that route. He felt it belonged here at the council. He felt that it wasn't a decision to be made by the Public Works Department. Now, our previous Public Works director felt differently. Barry Ellison felt it was his call, and only his call. Our new Public Works director feels that the issue belongs here as a council decision. I hope I'm catching his words properly. So as much as I could, I did in fact reach out to his office, again, about 4 weeks ago to talk about it, and he again felt that it shouldn't be done through his office, that it should rest here. And again, I had hoped it would have made the agenda setting, but it did not. If that offends anyone here, I apologize for that, but you know, you can't get everywhere when you punch a time clock. But it wasn't the intent to mislead or to leave anybody out of the discussion, if that's a concern. And thank you for letting me go on.
Anyone else? Want a second round? Yes.
I just want to reiterate and clarify, I'm not opposed to the carnival, but again, as I said, I don't think the Chelsea Parade is the appropriate place. There's noise pollution, there's light pollution, there's traffic problems, there's damage to the grounds. It's a carnival, by virtue of its name, is a carnival. It involves all that activity and noise and frenzy. So, and I look at something, I wasn't here when the Rose Arts Festival was in its heyday. I understand it was wonderful, but to me there's a big difference between passive recreation, an arts festival where people walk around and look and may buy food and that kind of stuff, as opposed to a Ferris wheel or a tilt-a-whirl that's going to be, you know, running 10 hours a day. So again, I wish the Rotary well, but I just don't think this is the appropriate location.
I'm not speaking. I'd like to make a motion. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to withdraw this resolution with the intent of bringing it back on March 6th.
Okay.
Did you have a second? I think the
Second.
Yeah,
Second should
Stacy.
withdraw as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
And you're bringing it back when?
March 6th.
You could postpone the vote to, or postpone to the 6th if you want, either way. Well, the motion's made.
Motion's made, yep,
Those in favor?
to withdraw.
Unanimous.
An ordinance amending Section 13-14 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances to permit the sale of alcoholic beverages for consumption on the premises on Sunday commencing at 11 a.m.
Is there a motion and a second to schedule a public hearing on the proposed ordinance for March 6, 2017 at 7:30 p.m., said ordinance being given its first reading? Alderwoman Gould, Alderman Braddock. All those in favor? And that's unanimous.
Motion to go into an executive session. I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-200, parentheses 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into executive session for the purpose of discussing strategy and negotiations with respect to the collective bargaining. The following shall be asked to participate during all or portions of the executive session at the request of the City Council: John Salamone, City Manager; Bridget Marks, Director of Human
You have the wrong,
Wait, got the wrong one.
hold on there.
Oh, sorry.
That's not the right one.
Oh, jeez.
Just hold up there, Mr. Tucker.
I can say it, Mayor.
Go get it. That was just a preview. I'm sure it'll come up some other time.
We have a new cast of characters.
Yes. I don't know where. Is it this one?
Motion to go into executive session. I hereby move.
Excuse me. Please, if you guys want to go out and talk, we have one more thing we have to do here, and we can't hear. Start over again, Mr.
Motion to go into executive session. I hereby move pursuant to Connecticut General Statute 1-6, parentheses 1-200, parentheses 6, that the members of the Norwich City Council go into executive session for the purpose of discussing the acquisition or disposition of real estate or an interest in real estate when publicity regarding the proposed acquisition of the disposition would cause a likelihood or an increased price to acquire and a diminished price to dispose of the property, and to review feasibility evaluations made for the City of Norwich regarding such property. City Manager John Salamone, Public Works Director Ryan Thompson, and Corporate Counsel Michael Driscoll should be asked to participate during all or portions of this executive session at the request of the City Council.
Is there a second? Alderman Gould, all those in favor?
All right.
Can I have a motion and a second to come back into session? Alderman Braddock, Alderwoman Gould, very eagerly. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Michael, did you get that?
Just what time is it?
It's 10 of
Time to
9.
adjourn.
Let the record show no votes were taken. I'll entertain a motion to, oh boy, a lot of eagerness down there. Alderwoman Gould is falling off the bench. Is falling off her chair, and Alderman Martin is right there behind.
She's on
Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.